People seem to know the name of Amelia Earhart. However, not many know the names Dorothy Hetrick, Wally Funk, Heather Atkinson, and Mackenzie Odom, to name a few. These names make up a small percentage of the women that have participated in the Flying Aggies. Specifically, women of the Flying Aggies and aviation in general have left a special place in what the Aggies have since grown to become. Dorothy Hetrick was a woman well ahead of her time. After graduating high school in 1939, Hetrick learned how to fly a plane while enrolled in school at Northern Oklahoma Junior College. In 1941, Hetrick was forced to leave college after the Pearl Harbor attack to support the war efforts. Following the war, Hetrick and her husband enrolled at Oklahoma State to complete their degrees. At age 96, Hetrick proudly embraces and epitomizes the values of the Flying Aggies to this day. Another notable alumna of the Flying Aggies is the infamous Wally Funk. Wally was inducted into the OSU College of Education, Health, and Aviation Hall of Fame in 2010. After graduating from Oklahoma State in 1960, Funk made history as the military's first female civilian flight instructor at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Following her time at Fort Sill, Wally was one of 13 women to participate in a NASA program. These women were commonly called the Mercury 13. They proved they were physically and mentally suitable for space travel, despite their later discrimination to go to space. In her time at Oklahoma State, Funk participated in the Flying Aggies flight team. Heather Atkinson and Mackenzie Odom are recent members of the Flying Aggies. Odom graduated from the flight school in 2017 and was president of the Flying Aggies at the time. Additionally, Heather Atkinson is currently a flight instructor at OSU and is the secretary of the Flying Aggies. While these women only scratch the surface of female pilots, they each have had a significant impact on the Flying Aggies. As one of the winningest college aviation programs in history, the Flying Aggies have no short resume. What started as a small aviation club in 1948 has since grown to over 120 students. Started by Hoyt Walkup, the purpose of the Flying Aggies was to promote aviation and provide safe means of flying. In addition, the hopes of the club were to allow cheaper means of flying through the use of the club's personal plane, also commonly referred to as 60.
So the purpose of the club has really kind of been to stay with the mission statement that was established back in 1948. It was to kind of promote aviation, to provide some safe, efficient travel basically aviation is very expensive, but with having a club paying like 60 here, it's cheaper, and you get to go out and kind of see Oklahoma. You get to go take your certificates and things you've earned and actually go use them by yourself, which is really great. And then at the same time, we all hope to become better pilots just through learning a bunch of different experiences and through a bunch of different speakers and events and stuff like that. So that's really been the main purpose behind the Flying Aggies and kind of what we do and stuff like that.
Since the beginning, the Flying Aggies have been shaped and molded by the people that spent so much time in the club's plane.
I started flying airplanes when I was a junior in high school. So it was kind of a random decision to start flying. I don't know exactly why I started when I did. But once I did, I just took an introductory flight. I went up with some flight instructor in the local area. We flew around for about half an hour. And then I just started lessons after that and never stopped. I came to Oklahoma State specifically for the flight program. I heard great things about it. I knew a lot of people here that flew here and they loved it. They're super well known, and like I was saying, I know a lot of people that came to OSU from my hometown and stuff like that, and they were all in the Aggies. So you can see the camaraderie from so many years, decades out of being in the Flying Aggies. So they've been around forever. There's a ton of alum that are super, super proud, and that was pretty much what drew me to them. But it's a really great club.
Since its start, the Flying Aggies have been a historically competitive organization with their teams competing in national and regional competitions on a yearly basis.
The flight team is kind of I always explain this as like a smaller part of the Flying Aggies. It's our kind of competitive side, I like to say, of the Flying Aggies. We right now, as a co-captain, we've got a team of I believe 15 members, and we compete in landing events, ground events where we kind of plan just a bunch of different things. There's events where they'll pop up a picture of an airplane for 3 seconds, and you'll have to look and go and say the make, model, and nickname basically for the aircraft and stuff like that. There's just a bunch of different events that we do, and that's where we pair our love for aviation with our competition side.
So we have a series of flying events and ground events, so you don't necessarily have to be a pilot yet to be on the flight team. But we do, the most popular ones are spot landing contests. You see who can hit the line on the runway, and message drop, where we'll drop a canister of some sort out of an airplane and try to hit a barrel. But those are our 2 super popular ones, but there's ground events. It's all about precision flying and just kind of getting better.
In fact, OSU's Flying Aggies have received recognition through the Loaning Trophy. This trophy is given annually to the most outstanding all-around collegiate aviation program in the nation. The Loaning Trophy is the rarest and oldest of all collegiate aviation awards and is considered the most prestigious achievement to be given.
The Loaning Trophy, we've also won that. We've won that 21 times, which is 17 more times than really any other kind of school in the nation has won. That's awarded at the National Flight Team Competition. And it goes towards it's given to the top kind of aviation program as a whole, socially, and just as the flight school as well. And we've been blessed to award that 21 times.
As the Flying Aggies have received more national recognition, the number of members and females in the program has drastically increased.
So over the years, as well as this kind of influx of students and really members of aviation, we've also had a really good increase in the amount of kind of women we've had in the program, which has been amazing. We've had, in the recent years, we have Mackenzie Odom, she was the president of the whole organization. Heather Atkinson, she's the secretary. Victoria Garcia, she's the head of the banquet, the whole kind of the end of the year banquet that we do. So just as the program has grown, as our organization has grown as a whole, we've also seen just the percentage of women involved grow.
Notable alumna Wally Funk was an integral part of the Flying Aggies during her time at Oklahoma State. Funk was involved in the classic message drop competition, just as Atkinson and White mentioned. She attributes her success to her early love for aviation.
Well, it's rather interesting. My parents took me when I was 1 year old out at the Taos Airport, where I was born and raised, and I went right smack over to that DC-3, and I poked over there and I said, "That's a nut on the wheel." And my mother was so surprised. Father had no interest really in aviation. He was a businessman. And Mother thought to herself, she told me later, she's gonna fly. And she went right over there at 1 year of age. How did she know that? Well, I had comic books, I had flying books, and I taught myself.
When Funk was asked about the role the Flying Aggies played in her life, she immediately thought of the opportunities the organization provided.
Open doors. I could win. I brought home trophies. I never meant to be any better than somebody else, but those things happened when I was doing takeoffs and landings. Oh, and then we had a 5-pound bag of flour. They don't use that anymore. And then you would be, I was in the back seat, and then the pilot would fly over a target on the ground. We were 100 feet high. I knew to open the door and stretch out and whomp that thing, that bag of flour down, and I'd hit it on the target every time. But nobody ever thought of that. They just dropped it out the window. Those are the kind of things that I knew to do.
Wally credits the Flying Aggies and her many different experiences with aviation as part of the reason she's so interested in space. To travel to space with NASA, Funk experienced multiple phases of assessments, including physical and psychological tests.
And then I was placed in a tank of water, and when I got in that tank, and I only had a little bit of foam rubber under my neck and under my back, not what the guys had. They had flotation gear. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. I'm on the water here, and I pounded the water. I couldn't feel it. I put water on my face. I couldn't feel it. I tried to taste it. No, didn't taste. I thought, okay, they have taken my temperature every day, 60,000 times a day. The water, the temperature, the humidity, everything in that room was my temperature. And they knew that I couldn't function. I had to lay there. So I laid there spread eagle. I understand from Jerry Cobb, she kind of meandered around in the pool a little bit. I knew to stay put. I stayed there in an open fashion. And they finally said, Wally, how you doing? I said, I'm doing fine. They said, we're going to turn the light on. Because see, there was no lights, there was no anything but communication. And I got used to the light and walked out. And when I walked in, I knew that there was a clock as I walked in. So I was really wanting to see what that clock was. So as soon as I got out, I turned around to look at that clock. They had covered it up. So I didn't know how long I had really stayed in the pool. So they were giving me all the final questions and my answers and so forth. Wally, you stayed in 10 hours and 35 minutes. You beat everybody that's ever taken that test.
After speaking with Wally about growing up in Taos, New Mexico, her time at Oklahoma State, and her many experiences since the Flying Aggies, she showed us her own history. Hanging around her home were many photos, newspaper clippings, brooches, and memorabilia. The many memories Wally has in her head have been brought to life around her home.
No, go the other way, Wally. I wish there was some way I could preserve these. And you'll see I started right here in Brussels, and then I went around, 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 and here is every date where I spent the night. Starting out April 25 of 65. Out right there. And then this is the airplane I flew at Stillwater, the twin. And then here's the tower there. And then this is at Fort Sill, when I flew the jet.
So amazing.
This is Loveless, where all the tests were taken. And these are all some of the girls, and I think this is I in the treadmill here.
So was that scary, like, right after college?
No, honey, nothing has ever scared me.
Oh, okay.
And then here's a couple of the astronauts. I got to meet a lot of the astronauts. And see, this was the rest of the 13, but I didn't know any of them except for Jerry.
Yeah.
And then this is when we went to Eileen's conference. Launch. Wait a minute, let me get this straight for you,
Sure,
honey.
you're fine.
It's cooked, it's
It's
there, is that
okay.
better? Now, I've tried on a couple of space suits. They are 250 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Here it is with the helmet and everything. And then I did loops around, I don't know what that's even called anymore. And Eileen. And then these were some of the accident investigations I did. So they're all kind of apart, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that was my desk at NTSB. Racing, did a lot of racing. I always used number 22. I took Mother up on this one. We had t-shirts the same.
What was significant about the number 22?
That was when my grandparents had their telephone number.
Oh.
And then their car. And then I had it on my car for a while, but then here in Texas, they don't let you do that. So you know all this. Now you know that a 99 is a pilot.
Right.
It started by 1929, by 29. Yeah, sorry.
You're fine.
99 pilots. Okay. This is when Eileen took my 99 pin into space. Come here and read it. And then the button that goes with it. And I went to every one of her launches. 4 or 5 launches. And this is the crew. And I keep it here and I keep it dark because I don't want, I'm going to hate it when their names disappear off of their picture. Okay, then behind you, this is just one of the organizations I've talked to, International Society of Airline Pilots. Yeah. And then right here, I made this. Nobody has ever made something like this. This is a picture of patches of my life. I'm a Fug, born in Taos. I went to Stevens College, and we were all called Susies because the president couldn't remember people's names. They said, Susie, would you get that? And Susie, would you do this? And Susie, will you get in your airplane? So that's the patch there. Then I went on to Oklahoma State, and then I became a 99. It's a 9 within a 9. And I went to Oshkosh, and then I flew air races, and then I went to work for the FAA, and then I went to work for the NTSB. And these are some of my friends that are in space. And with American, I worked with them a little bit. And I was with the New Mexico
Civil Air Patrol.
Civil Air, thank you, and Stevens. And
That's really cool. Yeah, I love
then these are just stuff that I've gotten recognition. You don't need to take pictures of those.
With years of experience and stories under her belt, Funk is one of many role models that have graduated from the Flying Aggies. For some, the Flying Aggies is more than just free pizza once a month or a few first-place medals at a national competition. To many, it's about the lessons learned.
I think flight instructing has taught me, not necessarily more than flying, but since I've been flight instructing, it's taught me a lot about myself because there's so much interaction with other people, how to get along with some people that might be hard to get along with. Basically just sitting in an airplane, rubbing shoulders with someone, I think has honestly improved my people skills probably, because you have to find a way to get along with and teach some people that you would probably never even talk to. The Flying Aggies has really provided me with so many resources, so many people that I've been able to know along the way. Aviation community is all about connections, and I've been able to meet so many people through the Aggies that are really going to help me along through my career, and that's really more than I could ask for from a club. I mean, you always hit bumps in the road or things that are just really hard to get past, like how to do this maneuver, or can I pass this written? It's a lot of pressure, but nothing that would ever come to stopping me, close to stopping me in aviation.
I came in as a freshman. I had heard about the organization. I didn't really know a ton about it, but first of all, coming to college in really anywhere, you're going to want to meet people. I've met some of the most amazing people that I've ever met here at Oklahoma State, not only through the Aggies, but just Oklahoma State in general. But especially through the Aggies, I've been able to be involved with the flight team. I played baseball for 10 plus years. So kind of being able to take that competitive side, I feel like I have, and pairing it with my love for aviation, that was an absolute blast. Been doing that through the flight team, which is a part of the Flying Aggies. We've just all the experience that we've been able to go on amazing, incredible events, meet some amazing people. Just like I said, we have a really strong alumni base. You can be walking through the airport with a Flying Aggies jacket on or something like that and get stopped and say, hey, I was an Aggie back in, I don't know, the 90s or something like that. And then there, boom, you've got a connection, which obviously in the aviation world is really important. And we're not, and I keep talking about aviation students, we're not strictly aviation students. We've got, like over time, we've had engineering students, we've had just all other, I think education students, just a bunch of different other majors. You don't have to be just specifically management, security, pro pilot, whatever, TSM major to come here and kind of enjoy what we do. We try to make sure that everyone has a part. Aviation isn't just kind of one single thing. There's a million different things you can do in it. So definitely just kind of be able to, I would definitely recommend someone joining. Not only just you're going to meet incredible people, you're going to have amazing experiences. It's going to open up so many doors for you, not only throughout your collegiate career, but like your future as well.
Just like driving a car for many of us, as time progresses, we feel more comfortable behind the wheel. Whether it be singing at the top of our lungs or needing a few minutes to drive in silence, it's the same for those in the sky. There's something about the clouds that teaches a person about themselves.
There's something that I want to share with you. One of the things I learned from my grandfather is if you want to become smart, you must associate with smart people. And to become skilled and competitive, professional, wise, know where you want to go in 5 to 10 years. And the kids today don't know that. They're not taught that. And then he would say, there are two things you never get to do twice. You never get to make more than that one first impression. And that's how you will get hired. And if you ever get to fly a jet, it's always the first time that counts. And Mother would always say, she was just amazed because she wanted to do what I was doing, and her father wouldn't let her fly after she went flying when she was about 13 in Albany, Illinois. Mother would say, honey, don't go faster than your angel can fly. And I've kept that all along. Don't go faster than your angel can fly.
If you love it, just keep doing it. Don't let anything or anyone stop you. You don't see that very much these days in aviation, but there's still people out there that might try to stop you. But aviation's for everybody, everyone who wants to do it, so.
From this, it's plain and simple. The Flying Aggies have touched the lives of those within the organization and those outside of it. The lessons learned and the memories created will live on for many decades to come. Because of that small idea in 1948 by Hoyt Walkup, the stories of the Cowgirls in the sky will never be forgotten. And to the future, the Flying Aggies will always be loyal and true.